Former Bangladesh Prime Minister Khaleda Zia, who also heads the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, which was the opposition party when Sheikh Hasina's Awami League was in power, has finally returned to her country. Now, this is significant for Bangladesh given the fact that India and several other countries have also been talking about when elections will be held there. Khaleda Zia's return will put more pressure on the interim government to hold elections as soon as possible. Now, who is Begum Khaleda Zia? Well, she is the widow of General Ziaur Rahman, who was the military ruler in Bangladesh. She also became the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, heading the party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. In fact, Bangladesh in the last few decades has seen electoral battles between two politicians, two women leaders on the opposite sides, and that is of course Begum Khaleda Zia and Sheikh Hasina, and both of them come from very strong legacies. One is of course General Ziaur Rahman's widow, that's Khaleda Zia, and also you have Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's daughter, that is Sheikh Hasina. So this is something that's been happening. But after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina last year, Bangladesh has been ruled by an interim government, and this interim government has been in power for a while now. Now, the interim government was set up in the first place to hold elections and ensure that Bangladesh has a democratically elected government as soon as possible. However, on the issue of holding elections, the interim government has seemingly been dilly-dallying on a date. It was said December this year, then it was said June next year, but there's been no concrete fixing of date or the process to begin and end as to when elections will take place. Now, the BNP, which has been the opposition party earlier in Bangladesh, has now started putting pressure on the interim government, asking when will elections be held. And today's event and today's show of strength, including hundreds of supporters of Khaleda Zia lining up on the streets as she arrived at Dhaka's Hazrat Shahjalal International Airport and reached Dhaka, is being seen as a measure of strength for the BNP, which will obviously fight elections. And Khaleda Zia, while she has been ailing, she's undergone treatment in the United Kingdom and she arrived by a special aircraft today, and her party has now started putting pressure on the Yunus government. Now, in fact, the BNP is currently being run largely by Begum Khaleda Zia's son Tariq Rahman, who has been the acting chairperson of the party, and his party has held, I beg your pardon, several consultations with the interim government on election schedules. And also what we know is that he has made a strong pitch for elections even on his social media platform X handle, where he says the path to fascism and authoritarian rule is never explicitly laid out in a nation's constitution or legal framework. Rather, it emerges when those very frameworks are ignored and undermined. Authoritarian rule begins the moment an individual or group starts to regard themselves as uniquely indispensable, imposing unilateral decisions upon the public without consent. It is precisely to guard against such tendencies, against the quiet ambition to cling to power without the legitimacy of a vote, that democracies must insist on governance through a direct electoral mandate, a legislature elected by the people, an accountable executive, and a culture of regular democratic practice are essential to protecting rights of citizens and embedding democratic values within institutions of state and politics. That's what Tariq Rahman said on his X handle. Now, clearly this was a very strong pitch and also a veiled dig at the Yunus government, which has seemingly been dilly-dallying and being non-committal on fixing dates for elections in Bangladesh. Now, the Bangladesh National Party has also questioned whose agenda Chief Advisor Dr. Mohammad Yunus is serving by repeatedly citing vague election timeframes such as December or June, instead of providing a specific roadmap, a concrete roadmap. So this is of course something that is being watched very closely by neighbors as well. Bangladesh will have to hold elections. It will have to have an elected government in place. Right now, the Yunus government is only a temporary government that does not have the legitimacy that is derived from the vote of the people or the people's mandate as it is. It is only a temporary government, an interim government, yet it has been dilly-dallying, it has been non-committal on a date, and that is something that the established political parties in Bangladesh like the BNP are now beginning to call out, more specifically putting pressure on Mohammad Yunus to hold elections as soon as possible, on which he seems to be dilly-dallying. And Khaleda Zia's return to Bangladesh is being seen as one such move to put pressure, with the BNP now directly engaging with the interim government and asking them to fix dates and hold elections as soon as possible in the country. For more such videos where we go beyond the headlines and give you the context in which the news is taking place, stay tuned to NDTV's YouTube platform. For all the news and updates from across India and across the world, stay tuned to NDTV. Thank you so much for watching.